Okay, so let's move to our next section. As you know, all three of these sections are being recorded and will be on our YouTube channel. The next section out of our three for our 2023 new product webinars are 4955 series. And I'd like to turn it back over to Heath again.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. Again, not to kind of belabor this, and I was excited about the last device, and every parent says they love their kids all the same, but boy, do I really love this device too. I'm not going to say more, but it's near and dear to my heart, in part because of the way that the 4955 came into being. And I want to share a little bit because it kind of illustrates how Suntech operates holistically, not just with this particular unit. But I mean, this is a journey that goes back, I don't know, maybe 3 years. I had a customer come to me that was using several of the products in our lineup, and they were using a competitor device that was solar, and they weren't super happy with it, let's say. And I was able to talk to this guy, and he shared with me a list of what he loved and what he didn't like about his current provider. And we built a prototype out of his specifications, and he beta tested it or alpha tested it for a significant period of time and liked it, and then gave us a bunch of feedback. And that's where we came up with the original 4950. The thing is, the 4950, when we first designed it, was really envisioned as just a static asset tracker for the most part. We figured that it would sit on assets that were in the field for a long time, wouldn't have a lot of movement to it. You may do a little yellow iron here and there, but that was kind of where the vision stopped in the original description that we gave to our product development guys. Of course, as happens and how you want to happen, there was an immediate explosion of new use cases. And with that, we were able to go back to our product development team in Korea, and they really had to rebuild the entire firmware from the ground up all over again to accommodate these new use cases. So with that, let me kind of go through some of these. So you'll see go back one, Jim, for me, if you would. I'm sorry. In the upper left, you'll see shipping containers. Obviously, this is a supernatural fit for shipping containers. You've got a 3, 4, or 5 year battery configuration on board, plus that solar panel. Every hour sunlight gives you 9 pings. So something like a shipping container or a static asset, again, going with sort of that original vision. This thing could truly operate in perpetuity, relying on that battery and solar panel alone. But the next thing where we really saw an explosion was in tractor trailer tracking. Boy, that's a lot of tracking in one word. But so what we saw is it's really sort of a Swiss Army knife. It fits that so perfectly, because you see when shipping companies or logistics companies drop off that trailer, it's going to sit in a yard, and it can sit there for weeks, months, potentially even longer. And during that time, you're just going to sort of heartbeat. You're going to phone home. You're going to say, this is where I am. And a lot of these logistic companies are prone to losing trailers. It happens. If you've got thousands and thousands of trailers, you don't necessarily know where they all are at any given time. So this allows for location on the yard. And again, with that solar panel and that long life battery, it can operate like that in perpetuity. We've got thousands of these deployed even up in the Dakotas, where they have mighty long winters, and they're still operating great using that solar. But then when the truck attaches to the trailer, it starts moving. That little knob that's on the side there, if I can see right here, that's a 12-volt input. So that allows you to have external power access, so that you can have 2 completely different configurations, so that when a tractor trailer or that piece of yellow iron, that bulldozer, or even that golf cart are sitting in the yard, they're gonna just heartbeat. But when they have external power and they're in motion, we can switch it to where they're tracking in real time or near real time, so that you can rely on that external power source. Okay, now you can go to the next one, if you would, sir. And to that point, so as I mentioned, when I said 3, 4, or 5 year batteries, so the standard configuration on this, and again, I want you to look at the size on this. It's a very compact device. It's, a little bit larger than, say, a standard deck of playing cards. And we've upgraded the solar panel since the previous version, so it's a lot more rugged, a lot more efficient. The battery is more efficient. We're just making constant improvement on these things. So the standard config is that 5.2 amp hour, which is a 3 year battery at 1 ping a day. We have a 7.8 amp hour option that gives you 4 years, a 1005, that's the big boy, and that'll allow you to go for up to 5 years. All of those exist in the same housing, in the same footprint. So again, you've got an easy to deploy device. You can, strap it on with zip ties or other methods. We also have a cradle that goes with that, with again those super strong magnets, or you can bolt it down using that cradle as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've forgotten here. Small, compact, easy to deploy, a lot of different use cases. I don't want to steal Henry's thunder, but again, going back to his previous slide about how we try to be easy to use, we have cookie cutter configurations that allow, these are our really standard configurations. These are the things that people are going to use most often. And then if you really want to get into it, you can customize that and set it up however you like. 30% increase in efficiency over the previous version. I really just feel like Cat M1 is ideal for this kind of application because it's slow and low, and it's easy, long distance travel, and good building penetration as well. I think that covers all of them, so I'll hand it off.
So yeah, basically he stole all my thunder, but but what I want to discuss was the what we built off of the 4950 for the 4955. The solar panel, we increased. We have got a new covering that's more efficient and is UV protected and is weather resistant. So the device is able to charge a lot better than our previous model, as what he mentioned was about 30%. Along with we have a sub MCU that improve our battery management as well. So the improvement on the solar panel, and then our improvement in our firmware, yes, these devices can last a long time, probably indefinitely if it has a good sun coverage. The other thing is our C4 technology. That's what we call our customer control cloud configurable. We use that with our SyncTrack and Scooty to have you guys be able to update over the air. That's our free middleware solution that we have for you guys. But yeah, we got a new solar panel. It's high efficiency, and it's basically will stay on for indefinitely if you get that proper sunlight. Reporting 1 ping per day, so any sunlight basically will cover that. You'll basically cap off the battery capacity at maximum. So yeah, he's still all my thunder. So thank you, Heath. Next slide.
Oh, and I think this one's me again. So sorry about stealing the thunder there, Henry. So, maybe I stole my own a little bit as well here, because I mentioned previously how demand and customer feedback really drives development for us and really drives our product roadmap. We don't want to just have a set of devices and say, here, take this, and this is what you get to choose from. So we really try to listen. And as I mentioned, we had an immediate explosion of demand for the 4950, 4955 in tractor trailers and in trucking. And so along with that, we kept getting requests for, can you do BLE? Can you do Bluetooth on this thing? Because we'd really love to add, temperature monitoring, light sensors, whatever, cold sensors, this whole constellation of BLE sensors that really just opens up, a whole world of new applications that are available, and to do all this with BLE and not have to pull cable is a huge advancement versus how we had to do things in the past with running wires and IOs and things like that, which can be great in some cases, but not if you're trying to wire a whole tractor trailer. So one of the challenges with BLE is it's not like your iPhone or your Samsung, where there's things that work just right out of the box that I plug in my headphones and they immediately work and they're just designed for it, because those things were built specifically for those phones. And it can be touchy at times, right? I don't even get my music to stream all that well sometimes. But what we've done is we've partnered with ELA, which is one of the innovators in this space and has this huge bench of different types of sensors, and they have some standardization of protocols in that. And we've built out a library so that we'll be able to offer that as a solution for folks who need an out of the box or semi out of the box kind of solution to be able to deploy the 4955 now LCB with the Bluetooth to be able to add all those additional sensors and things like that to be able to, really improve the, the breadth of use cases on that. Additionally, we're going to have a temperature probe on that, which will be a wired temperature probe for those who don't want to go through the development of doing BLE and they don't want to rely on the battery of that tag. So you'll be able to hang just a standard temperature wire off of this thing, which is going to be really great again for, for cold chain and for trucking and for produce transportation, pharmaceuticals, things like that. Moving on to the other half of the slide, one of the things that we were repeatedly getting asked about, again, along with the BLE, is also folks do want to pull those traditional wires. They want to be able to use the IOs. They want to be able to do, ignition and things like that. That require a traditional IO wire input. Because of the way that the 4955 is designed to be really a drop and go, slap and track kind of device with an easy deployment, it doesn't have a whole lot of sensor input capability without having to redesign the whole thing. So what we found was this use case for this upcoming device, the 4335, which is going to fill just that gap. It's going to be a similar housing type, again, with 3, 4, and 5-year rechargeable battery options. But in this case, you're going to have, the ability to have 8 different IOs, a programmable button, temperature sensor, ideal for trailer tracking again, and again, still with an IP67 rating, where you'll see that, you might be able to see from the picture there, and I apologize, I don't have one of these in front of me, but where you'll see where that wire interface actually screws in and secures tightly on there to retain that IP rating as well. And those respectively, the 4955 LCB, we actually have a number of these already in the wild with customers who are helping us to beta test those and fine tune it. But those will be out for commercial release in the next, April to June timeframe. For those who want to get early betas on those, please let me know. We'll be able to get some of those in your hands ahead of time with the 4335 coming out in Q3. So sometime towards late summer, early fall for that device. And with that, I'll hand it over again.
Thanks, Heath. As mentioned, if you have any questions on this section or the 4290 section, please raise your hand or type in the chat section. Heath and Henry are getting a lot of questions, and I'm also getting some privately in Slack channel. So let's start off with Steve for the first one. Not specific to the 4955 LCD, and let's go back to that slide here, but still want to ask and push for, if not yet available, integration with the BLE OBD2 transmitter for engine diagnostics. I think that one's a little bit more towards Henry Tran. Henry, maybe you can answer that one.
Yes, I believe our next gen OBD device is still in development, but I will take your note down for that and see if it's capable.
Perfect, thank you. Steve, it looks like you're able to talk now if you want to come off mute. Did we answer your question, or are there any additional questions we can answer? Okay. As I mentioned, I'm getting a lot. Yep, and as we have another attendee commenting in, is that we have a second request for that as well too. Oh, Steve, are you there?
Oh yeah, I am. Hey, yeah, actually that kind of answers the question. We've always, I've been doing this as some of you know for a while, but what we always run into anytime we steer away from a vehicle, steer away from going with an OBD2 connection for a vehicle is invariably somebody's going to ask for engine diagnostics, whether it be their RPMs or whatever coming out of the vehicle itself. There is a market and definitely a need in the market specifically for not even just a GPS tracking device, but a device that transmits to, say, a hardwired 4335 or otherwise, that same engine diagnostics that they would be able to pull out of a straight, say, a straight 43, what is that, 4500. Make sense?
Yes. Yes. So yes, that our next gen OBD devices is still in progress. So we will also take your feedback here, which is useful and helpful for us to move forward and see what best suits our customers. That's why we are continuously developing our product.
Hey, let me jump in there too, because I think, there's two ways to approach that, Steve. One is, I get what you're saying. Can we take something like a 4955 LCB and use a Bluetooth OBD widget that then backhauls that data through the 4955? I think that's probably a little bit further out, and as I mentioned, BLE is kind of a tricky animal because it's not necessarily always out of the box experience. It's not that Apple-like experience where you open it up and bam, this thing works. So there's going to have to be some heavy lifting done on that at some point, but we may be able to solve it the other way around. And what I mean by that is, as Henry mentioned, is with a Bluetooth enabled version of the 4500 OBD device. So potentially you could use that 4500 to be able to then use those other Bluetooth sensors. And I realize that's not necessarily the same thing, but like I said, there's maybe two ways to solve for that, and one being more readily available with that BLE enabled 4500 being just right around the corner, whereas using a BLE OBD decoder to backhaul through the 4955 is technically possible. I don't see why not. But it is going to take a little bit of development work and probably a partnership of development work, both from from our team, our product guys at Suntech, but also for whomever's offering that solution down the road. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, the only reason that you ever run into any feedback against that is that so many folks are dead set against having a removable GPS device that the drivers can reach up in there and unplug whether or not it has a battery or not. So the way to circumvent that was a BLE device that's connected to a hardwired device, a hardwired GPS. It's much more difficult for the driver to disable the tracking of the vehicle itself.
Totally get it. And I'm a sales guy, so anytime you ask me a question like that, the answer is first yes, and then I push it off on Henry to figure out how to solve for it. So but I think it's something that could be solved for, but it is maybe a little bit further down the road.
I think this is very good discussion, and I appreciate everybody being on the call today. The benefit of having the webinar, we have quite a few people from our development team on. I know that Juan Pablo, it looks like you're on currently. Juan Pablo, can you add a little bit more color to what the request here is, and maybe fill in a little bit more of the opportunity with this? Or let's try to come back to Juan Pablo in a second. Another one that I had as we're getting a lot of anonymous questions in the Slack channel right now, previously just going to me directly. Maybe this is one a little bit more for Heath, is first off, any plans for a device that reads JBus for heavy trucks?
So I like to be as transparent as possible. So tapping into the ECU on a vehicle is no small undertaking. So when we talk about OBD, there's this huge library of various PID codes, and they're unique to different manufacturers, different years, sometimes they'll have different sets of PIDs in the same model year, and vehicle manufacturers don't make it easy to decode that. And that's one of the reasons that we decided, as an organization, rather than renting a bunch of cars and trying to reverse engineer this stuff in a garage, right? We actually license that PID code stack from an expert third party, which allows us to have this really, really robust and constantly updated library of OBD PID codes. That's not something that was as readily available for JBus, and we've offered JBus products in the past. But because there's not really an easily licensable database to be able to utilize that, we had more barriers to it. So I guess the answer is I can wire an ST4500J to a J bus, but it's not necessarily going to provide you that data that you're looking for. So again, I want to be real transparent, and I want to focus on the things that we do really, really well. Asset trackers, OBD vehicle trackers, wired vehicle trackers. Man, we rock on those. But we found that because there wasn't a really easily accessible library of JBus PID codes or fault codes, it didn't make sense to build that from scratch. And as much as I want you to buy everything from me, I know that there's some areas where we're a lot stronger than others, and I want to be transparent with you on that, and always give you lead you in the best direction rather than just trying to win your business today. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yes, Heath, it was very good, and we appreciate it. And as you stated, we all want to be partners together, and there's some things that we excel in and some things that we want to be honest where we can be able to have partnerships. So a very good one. Heath, I have another one for you out of our, I just got instant message directly for Anonymous because there's a lot of questions now about this Bluetooth product. Maybe Heath and Henry, you guys can double team this. But for the RV market, using this Bluetooth product with the 4955, the question sort of refrains around they're using the 4955 for the RV leisure market currently, and wanted to see what type of use cases with Bluetooth sensors, specifically Ella, what you could do. Questions like opening doors or trunks, fuel levels. Maybe if you guys can just articulate a little bit about what that use case could be with Ella sensors for Bluetooth for the RV market.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. I know that we've got a lot of devices already deployed in that space, primarily for just location and loss prevention and things like that. But again, as I already kind of alluded to here, that you take a device like the 4955, which is already a fantastic location device, and you add the BLE capability to it, and really, I mean, as Jim mentioned, some of those use cases really kind of the sky's the limit. I have to admit, I don't know every widget that Ella sells today. I know there's a heck of a lot of them, but just sort of thinking off the top of my head for the RV market, I think you could utilize that for temperature. You could use it for light. So I could definitely see a use case where we know that we can already have an alert on movement, right? So if somebody actually steals an RV that's stored in a lot long term. But how about we put a light sensor on there too, so that then if somebody actually enters it and they try to rob the RV, as opposed to actually stealing the entire vehicle, you could get an alert then. Motion sensors, I think again, kind of the sky is the limit on that. You could also potentially use it with a constellation of devices where, now if I've got other things that I travel with, maybe I'm somebody who travels with my RV and I like to, have some ATVs or bicycles or other things that I travel with, and I want to be able to use some Bluetooth tags to be able to know if those get removed or they move out of the range of the 4955, thereby the vehicle itself, that maybe I could get a theft notification. So I love the question. I feel like it opens doors, and if I'd asked for one to be teed up to me, boy, I couldn't have done any better.
Just to follow up on that, Heath, we did get every single BLE sensor from Ella. So the analog input, the digital input, temp sensors, magnetic sensors, that's the like for detecting door opening and closing, humidity, all of those are works with our device. So I should cover that answer. If not, please let us know.
Yeah, thank you. I got a thumbs up from this anonymous source. So we appreciate questions from any possible area. Just one last chance if anybody has a question for the 4955 series or the 4290. I think we want to keep on schedule, and we'll move on to our next one. As always, if you have questions, we're here to answer them. But let's keep on track with going to our next and final section of the three today.